Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video. So I've been running the ETS Catback on the car for a little while now. I got some decent seat time on it. So what I wanted to do is actually go out, go for a drive and do a kind of a review on it. Now I kind of gave you my initial impressions when I did the exhaust video, doing the flybys and everything. But I really wanted to get some proper seat time in the car just so I can get a better idea of what it sounds like, about the drone and just the overall tone. Plus I wanted to break in just a little bit. Usually exhausts have a little bit of a break-in period where, the sound changes a little bit, drone will change. So I just wanted to make sure I got some seat time, have a proper opinion on it before I really said, hey, this is good or this is bad. So I wanted to go out, go for a little drive. We'll set up the camera inside the cabin and I'll kind of talk you through it as I'm driving. Now, before we go out, I just wanted to give you some updates in terms of everything going on in terms of modifications and all that. I did get my replacement carbon fiber iDoing head unit trim, came in from JDM Muscle. If you guys don't know, I was having a little bit of an issue with the one I'm currently running, and I could be able to see. I'll put up some pictures for you guys, but right there, it was kind of peeling up a little bit, the carbon overlay. So I reached out to JDM Muscle, and they sent me a replacement one, which was really nice of them. Wasn't even an issue. They were like, yep, sure, no problem. And they sent a new one out. I do have the new one from Overland Designs coming, covered in Alcantara. So I'm probably gonna end up using that one. So I might have this one for sale, or both of them, both of the carbon ones. We'll see. Once that one comes in, I'll kind of decide which route to go. I do plan on fixing that one. I'm gonna get some really strong epoxy or something to kind of glue that down so it's nice and flat. It's really not that bad at all. It's just me being OCD. So we'll see how that turns out once I get it out of the car. But I do have a clean replacement one that I might use. So I'll decide once the Overland designed Alcantara one comes in, and we'll go from there. Also, I got a new steering wheel for the truck. I decided to go with the faux leather. A lot of people were saying to go with the carbon one, but I wanted to go with the faux leather just to keep it super simple and not go crazy, since I don't have any other carbon on the truck. But I did pick up a nice carbon trim for the steering wheel. So if I do decide to run carbon, a little piece, a little accent piece, I can. And this is easily removable. If I did go with the carbon steering wheel, I'm kind of stuck with it. So this gives me the option to run it or take it off if I don't want to run it. So thought it was pretty nice. It wasn't that expensive, so I figured I'd just pick it up, see if I like it. The new steering wheel for the truck comes in this week, so I'll have an update for you installing it and everything if you guys are interested in that. I also have the Veris Engineering rear LCA covers to put on as well. I haven't gotten time to do that. That box right there is actually roof rails for the Telluride. I'll probably do a video on that. Not sure many people will be interested, but they're not OEM Kia brand. And I found a really nice aftermarket example. So if anybody's interested in running roof rails and using them for ski racks or a box or anything on their Telluride, I'll show you how to do that in a future video. So let's go ahead, let's get everything set up in the car in terms of cameras and everything. I'm gonna wear a lav mic on me so you guys can hear me properly, and then we can go over what I think of the ETS Extreme Catback. So just letting the car warm up a little bit before we get going, but there is a nice Porsche right there. Must be nice. So before we start driving and kind of going over the review, I just wanted to get out of the car real quick. I just realized some of my favorite roads locally to me, they were just recently paved, but I just went through them real quick and I started chatting and everything, and then I realized I just want to drive and I didn't want to talk. So I just started driving and then I put the camera down. We're going to go back to those roads and have some fun and go over the review of the exhaust. But I just wanted to get out of the car. I haven't driven it in like 2 weeks. And every single time I do that, it just, I don't know, something about it just brings me a whole new appreciation to it. I like forget how quick and fun this car actually is. Just all the sounds, you get so used to driving. I'm driving the truck every day. So driving something that massive and then getting into this is such a big change. The noises, the turbo, the exhaust, everything about this is unbelievably perfect. I love this car so much. And that's one of the best things about having a daily driver is, you don't want to say you forget about it, but you forget just how it feels. So when you get in it and drive it after a while, it's a totally new experience. I love that feeling, and I highly suggest if anybody has the means to be able to get, keep your STI or WX and have something else to drive, highly recommend it. Absolutely love it. Probably one of the best decisions I've ever made was to get that truck and keep this in the garage. I just wanted to get out, show the car real quick, and just mention that because I was having so much fun on those roads, and it's a beautiful day. It's like 75, 80 degrees out right now, so it's nothing too hot. It's been super hot in New Jersey the past couple of weeks, so it's nice to have a little bit of a cool down. The car is dirty, doesn't look like it on camera, but I do need to give it a wash, so I'll probably do that later on today if I get some time. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. But yeah, love this car. Feels fantastic. Can't wait for the new coilovers to come in. Those are going to be the cherry on top and make it that much better. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get back in the car and let's talk about the exhaust. All right, so as we get back to the roads, I just wanted to go over real quick of the different exhausts that I have run on this car, just so you guys understand where I'm coming from and how I came to this conclusion. The first exhaust that I ran on this car was a Delta Motorworks Catback. It was a non-resonated mid-pipe with no mufflers. That was before I went to equal length headers. So I ran that for a while, and then when I went over to equal length, it got really raspy, so I decided to change it up. And after that, to tone down the rasp, I got a Delta Motorworks resonated mid-pipe, which sounded very, very nice, but the issue with that exhaust was that the actual resonator hung too low. For the height that I am with this car, the resonator just hung way too low and ended up just scraping, and it was just a bad situation. I got rid of that. I ended up getting a Cobb Titanium. After that, I went to AWE Touring, then I went to AWE Track, and then I went to the Tomei setup, and now I'm finally at my current setup, which is ETS Extreme Catback. It is the resonated mid-pipe with the no mufflers out back. It is the blue tip version, not that that matters, but that is what I'm running. Also, I'm running Killer Bee equal length headers, a PLM turbo up pipe with a 44 millimeter tile wastegate and the dump tube, as well as a Grimspeed limited catted downpipe, and that's connected to the ETS. So that is what I'm currently running right now. So let's go ahead, let's go for a little drive. We're just getting back onto the really nice paved roads. Let's go over what I think of this exhaust. So if you want to hear what this thing actually sounds like outside the car, go out and check this video in the top right corner. I did flybys, I did a whole bunch of different scenarios so you can really hear what this thing sounds like. So if you look back on some old videos, you guys know that I'm kind of an exhaust nut. I really like to fine tune my exhaust on all of my cars to make sure that I'm getting the best possible note. For me, exhaust sound is huge when it comes to a car. You can have the most perfect car in the world, but it could sound really bad, and I would absolutely hate it. For me, I'm always looking for that specific, most perfect frequency and tone exhaust on all of my cars, no matter what it may be. Now, it took a little bit of trial and error. I wanted to go through as many exhausts, many of the popular exhausts that people were trying, just to get my take on it. Since I'm running equal length headers, it can get a little tricky, and I wanted to make sure that, if somebody wanted to go down this route, I wanted to make sure I was able to give them a valid opinion and valid feedback of which route to go. Now, keep in mind, exhausts in general are extremely subjective. Everybody has a different taste in sound. Some people don't mind drone, some people do mind drone. There's so many variables that come into play when it comes to exhaust that it is really hard to just say, yeah, this is the best one, or yeah, this is the one you should get. But after trying so many different exhausts on this setup, I can confidently say that the ETS Extreme, this current setup, is by far my favorite. Now, it may seem like I'm a little biased because I'm running that one currently, but to be completely honest, this is not for a video. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not sponsored by ETS, no one. 100%, this is my favorite exhaust I have ever run on this car with this setup. It sounds absolutely perfect. A lot of people were asking me, why did I get rid of the Tomei, since I really did like it so much, and why did I go to the ETS? Simply put, I found that the Tomei sounded amazing, and honestly, best bang for your buck if you're looking for a lot of sound for a pretty reasonable price, Tomei is the way to go. But one thing that I was not crazy about with the Tomei was simply it had a certain frequency on equal length headers at a higher note, a higher RPM, that I wasn't crazy about. It was super tinny, super raspy at the top end. Down low, it sounded great, but once you got into the higher RPM ranges, that's when it started getting a little kind of annoying. Now, don't get me wrong, it sounded fantastic, especially under wide open throttle. It was pretty insane. So those specific frequencies and higher pitched notes just got a little annoying, especially for how I build this car. I wanted to make sure that I was doing the exhaust justice and not making it sound, I don't know, I don't want to say cheap, but not sound the way that I wanted it to sound. So I wanted to keep the overall Tomei volume, but I wanted a deeper sound. So obviously running titanium is going to give you a specific sound overall. Titanium in general has a very specific howl and tinny sound. So, I mean, that is kind of what I was talking about when I got into the higher RPMs. It's a very, very specific sound that not everybody likes. But don't get me wrong, it does sound very good. But for this car, I wanted something a little bit deeper. So having experienced the multiple different sets of titanium exhaust that I've tried, I knew that titanium on this setup wasn't the route to go. I wanted to go with something stainless, something that was really robust, 3.5 inch at least. And I wanted something that had a lot of different options. Insert ETS. ETS probably has the most options available in terms of how you can actually customize and outfit your exhaust. You can get a resonated or non-resonated mid-pipe. You can get mufflers or no mufflers on the exhaust. And there's also 3 different tip exhaust options. So you can get black, you can get chrome, and you can get the one that I have, which is the titanium bluish look. Now, to me, that is awesome, because if you ever want to change up the exhaust, it's too loud, you want to try something out, you don't have to get a full exhaust. You can simply just change out one part of the exhaust and you're good. Fitment for me on exhaust is huge. You guys know that I tried another brand, which I won't name, that I was not a fan of the Fitment. It was a very, very reputable and highly praised exhaust, but overall, I just had a terrible experience fitting that exhaust. Now, believe me, I probably installed over 50 different exhausts in my time so far, and that was by far the worst fitting one. No matter what I did, no matter what tricks I had, nothing worked. It just did not fit well. So I knew Fitment was 100%, it has to be good. I didn't want to run an exhaust on the car that just fit terribly. I've seen so many people praise different exhausts, and the Fitment is terrible. And I'm not going to name any, but honestly, this one fit so well. I barely had to make any adjustments as soon as I put it on. I put it on just kind of loosely, and I kind of just held it in place very, very lightly, and I tightened it up. Perfect. It's very, very tight to the bumper. There's enough space where it's not touching the bumper, so it's not causing any damage to it. It's not touching any of the heat shields or anything like that. It's just a beautiful exhaust that fits very, very well. Not to mention they're all V-band clamps, so it leaves a lot of adjustment as well, which is fantastic. It's my favorite kind of exhaust fitment. Next would be the slip-on, and after that is just the normal flange, which I'm not a fan of because it can cause leaks and everything. So I have become such a fan of this exhaust, and to be honest, it's the drone. I know it's very subjective, but on this setup is not bad at all. So I did longer drives. I went on the highway and everything, did multiple RPM ranges just to see if I can really get it to drone and get annoying. But to be completely honest, I had a hard time doing that. Now, don't get me wrong, it does drone a little bit, but that's to be expected when you're changing exhaust parts, and especially the amount that I did on this car. There's gonna be some drone. And to be honest, it's really not as much as you would think. It is 100% doable if you want to drive this every single day. You know, obviously when I drive this car, I'm driving it for fun, so I'm on it. But if you put it in the 5th gear, it's pretty darn quiet. I'm driving 42 miles an hour right now. So it's not bad at all. And I love that. I really thought it was gonna drone more than I wanted it to, but it really doesn't at all. And I'm really, really happy about that. All right, so I know you guys kind of want to hear this, so I'll do a few rips down the road again. We're doing a little bit of a loop. So I'm gonna go through and have some fun here. Hopefully there's not too much traffic. Obviously I'm gonna be careful, but yeah, these roads are amazing and they're all paved. So let's go have some fun. Let some of the traffic go ahead because I don't want to catch up to them too quickly, but just kind of cruise real quick here, but all right. And we already caught up. And yes, if anybody's wondering, I am driving barefoot. I prefer driving barefoot if I can. All right, so let's try hitting these roads again. There's nobody in front of me. Bit. Caught up to a Jeep real quick. So hopefully we can get some time. Hopefully nobody passes us. Alright guys, so that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a better idea of my opinion and thoughts on the ETS Extreme Catback. Like I said, I'm running equal length headers, so it is a little bit different than running unequal length, but overall the quality of the exhaust and everything about it is fantastic, and I absolutely love it. So just for reference, here is the exhaust out back. Obviously kind of hard to see. I'm running the Varus Engineering diffuser and everything, but absolutely beautiful. It fits very, very well, as I mentioned. It's even on both sides, nice and tucked up to the bumper, but it's not touching like other exhausts that I've had. Such a massive fan of this exhaust. Honestly, it sounds amazing. Pops and bangs, super deep. It still has that Subi rumble. A lot of people always say that, you know, the equal length headers loses that rumble, but down low when it's idling and everything, it really is hard to tell. A lot of people that have heard my car in person are completely shocked and don't even know that it's equal length half the time unless I tell them. The only time they actually only able to tell is when you're wide open throttle. That's just when it starts to get that distinct equal length sound, which personally I think sounds fantastic. I love a Subi rumble. I think it sounds great, but honestly, when you hear this car in person, it's a no-brainer. It's no question. I think it's one of the better sounding STIs I've ever heard. So that wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions at all about the exhaust or anything else on the STI, please let me know in the comments below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.